Now to the latest on the war between Israel and Hamas. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says there is growing international consensus to tell Israel that a ceasefire is needed in Gaza.
To silence the guns as the only way to address the problems of the population in Gaza, and the only way to have humanitarian aid effectively received in the quantities and the nature that is absolutely fundamental to preserve the life of the people in Gaza.
This is new video this morning from Rafah. Palestinians searching through the rubble in the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike on a residential complex. More than 1 million civilians are currently sheltering in Rafah. Both the United States and France have recently cautioned Israel against proceeding with their planned offensive into the city. A warning echoed today by the UN Secretary-General. The Israeli military says its fighter jets struck around 50 targets in Gaza overnight. Israel says they targeted, quote, terrorist infrastructure. Palestinian health officials say an Israeli airstrike on an apartment block in central Gaza has killed at least 21 Palestinians from 2 extended families. There are new developments this morning in the ongoing ceasefire talks taking place in Qatar between Israel and Hamas. Sarah Coates is tracking those details from Tel Aviv this morning. And so, Sarah, so much happening here. We know the U.S. has proposed a hostage-to-prisoner swap ratio to both parties. Walk us through what this involves and what's next from here.
Hello there, Marianne. This would be some 40 Israeli captives, women, children and men over the age of 50, for the release of some 700 Palestinian prisoners, around 100 of those who are serving life sentences for murder. Now, these mediators are still waiting for a response from Hamas, although it is important to point out that this could potentially take days, given that this information needs to be relayed back to the head of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, Yahya Sinwar, who is likely hiding underground in a bunker. Now, it is also important to point out that Israel is reportedly willing to make a fairly large concession here, and that is about the return of people to the north of the Strip. It is reportedly willing to allow some 2,000 Palestinians, women and mainly children, to return to the northern part. But this would only be after these captives are released. Still one major sticking point, of course, and that is the end to the war. Israel is vowing to go ahead with this operation in Rafah, but Hamas continues to say that it wants a comprehensive ceasefire. Now, also a little later today, very soon actually, there will be a UNSC vote on a draft resolution for a ceasefire, although it is likely that this could potentially be vetoed by the United States, given that senior officials there reportedly believe that if indeed this is adopted, then it could potentially derail this hostage deal.
Sarah, while all of this is happening, we know that fighting also continues in and around several medical complexes in Gaza, with Israel detaining hundreds of alleged militants. So walk us through what the latest is there.
Certainly, we are hearing that Israeli forces have encircled both the Nasser and the Al Amal hospitals in Khan Yunis, and this comes as heavy fighting is continuing around the Al Shifa hospital and inside it. This is the largest hospital in the Gaza Strip. It's in Gaza City, with the IDF coming out to say that since this operation began last Monday, that it has detained some 500 Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad militants and killed more than 100 others. Here's what we heard from the spokesperson for the IDF, Daniel Hagari.
The IDF apprehended hundreds of terror suspects with confirmed ties to Hamas or Islamic Jihad, making this one of the most successful operations since the start of the war. This operation isn't over yet. Right now, Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists are barricading themselves inside the Shifa hospital wards.
And this comes as the head of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, has come out to say that he's been informed by Israel that there will no longer be any food deliveries to the northern part of the Strip anymore. And this is on the back of that report just last week from the UN that the northern part is facing imminent famine, with many people facing catastrophic hunger. Marianne.
Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv, thanks so much for this update.